Okay, in this last video, we have the domain controller up. We're on the NOS130.network domain, joined to that domain with the Windows 7 Pro machine. And what I'd like to show you is default domain policy and a couple of other things. Things that you can expect to see once you have installed Active Directory domain services on the domain and created that initial domain network. So I'm on the Windows Server 2008 Data Center domain controller right now, and I want to click on the Start button here, and I want to get into Administrative Tools. I'm looking for Group Policy Management, and I'm going to launch that interface, and it'll take a few seconds to come up. You can see that when it opens, we have the Forest NOS130.network, which is also our domain, NOS130.network. It's the only domain in the Forest. Underneath Group Policy Management here, we have domains and we have sites. I want to expand under domains here, the NOS130.network, and I want to go and concentrate on the default domain policy. So I'm going to click that, and we get a message that says you have selected to link to a group policy object except for changes to link properties. Changes you make here are global to the group policy object and will impact all other locations where this GPO is linked, and we know that, so I'm going to click OK. It's opening up the default domain policy here. I'm on the Scope tab. It's telling me that my links to the domain NOS130.network are the network itself and security filtering that can be implemented here, and the WMI filtering as well that can be implemented. I can down arrow here. I don't have anything. If I get on the Settings tab, it generates the report for me. And it basically shows me what the default domain policy is. I'm going to get a warning here that Internet Explorer warning. It's saying that the content within this application is coming from a website that's being blocked by Internet Explorer Enhanced Security Configuration. I'm going to trust it, so I'm going to go ahead and click the Add button, and I'm going to add the About Security _mmc.exe to that list. And I'm going to go ahead and close it, and that should open it for me, and it does. I am going to show you that under the policies you can hide or show them. If I click the Hide button, it will actually show the user configuration enabled here. Let's go back to let's show all actually. What's coming up here initially is the account policies and password policy under security settings. And you can see that the policies that are set up here for various things are what you expect to see. Enforced password histories, 24 passwords remembered. Maximum password age is 42 days. Minimum password age is 1 day. What that means is basically once you change a password, you can't change it again for at least 24 hours. Minimum password length is 7 characters, etc., etc. And if you continue on down, there are additional policies here for accounts. There's account lockout threshold for 0 invalid logon attempts. This means that if you fail to log on initially, it's going to lock you out. An administrator would then be required to unlock your account. Here are the account policies and Kerberos policies. Kerberos being the authentication protocol that's used standard within Windows 7 and Windows 7 domains. We've got some user logon restrictions enabled here. Maximum lifetime for service ticket is 600 minutes. Maximum lifetime for user tickets 10 hours. These can be changed, but those are the standard or default for a domain. We have additional local policies and security options as well. Network access, allow anonymous is currently disabled. Network security, we have these currently set up. Network security, do not store LAN is enabled, etc. And then there's some key policies for encrypting the file system, and key policies for trusted root certification authorities, etc., etc. If I come down here to domain controllers and expand that, there is a default domain controller policy. If I click on that, and if I show all, you can see that there are local policies that are affecting the user rights assignment, and these policies are, for instance, here allowing for logon locally, backup files and directories, etc. And these are the settings that apply for those particular policies in the default domain controller policy. Further on down the screen, we've got local policies in effect here and security options in effect for the domain controller, etc., etc., etc. Further on down here on the left, we've got some group policy objects for the default domain controller and for the default domain policy. And if you open that up, it's the same screen we saw initially. And then some WMI filtering and some starter GPOs. I think these are probably going to be blank, but you can create starter group policy objects as well. And then down further, there are the sites that you can set up. We have none currently set up. Of course, if you recall, sites are the well-connected computers on the domain that are usually or typically in their own subnet of the domain and apply only to them. And you can set those up for various reasons, usually set up for control. So that's the kind of the look of the group policy management area. Let me get back into administrative tools, and let's go to and take a look at the local security policy tab or menu item. And let's open that up, and then you've got a host of local security policies that are already set up by default here on the domain controller. You've got some account policies here with as far as password policies that are currently in effect, account lockout policies that are in effect, and Kerberos policies. And we saw those in the other screen for group policy management. We have local policies here set up as well for user rights assignment, for audit policies, for auditing the computer, domain controller for logons, policy changes, privileges, that kind of thing. Currently there's no auditing taking place here. And user rights, if we expand that, you can see there's a host of things applicable to policies, for instance, on allowing logon locally, for backing up files and directories, for debugging the programs, deny logon locally, etc., etc. Security options here as well for accounts, for auditing, for devices, for domain members, for interactive logons, network access, etc., etc. We've got some security settings here for Windows Firewall with advanced security. If we click on that, you can see that that is a fully functional area that we can get into and make changes as well. Then there are, the last thing I wanted to show you, we've got some software restriction policies, an area there that you can go. Right now there are no software restriction policies, but you can define those at the domain level and then push those out to the clients by updating the group policy settings on those machines using group policy update, or allowing the length of time that it normally takes, 90 to 120 minutes, for those to get propagated out to the network, to the clients that are attached. So this has been a brief overview of local security policy and group policy management on the domain controller, and hope you enjoyed this video, and this concludes the presentation. Thank you.